Welcome, everyone. Excited for another Show Up and Write session today with all of you. I am taking on the topic by request. This came through the Facebook group, I believe, about balancing social media and your memoir writing. And I would extend that to balancing your author platform building with your writing. One of the things I guess I want to say broadly about author platform is that for those of you who hope to get traditionally published, or even if you're planning to do hybrid publishing with certain hybrid publishers, the author platform is a really meaningful endeavor. It is the place where you're putting yourself out into the world, where you're engaging other people in conversations about what's meaningful to you. I encourage all of you to go back to the conversation that we had about theme and think about what the themes of your book are, because that's really the sweet spot for building your author platform. Your author platform is really just you being an expert. And we've talked about this before, the idea that you're an expert in your lived experience, right? I mean, if you're writing a book about mental health, for instance, or addiction or surviving abuse, it's very difficult to see yourself as an expert in these areas, and you may not want to see yourself as an expert in those areas. And I really do understand that. So it's about reframing it a little bit to say, this is my lived experience. I'm an expert in my life and I'm an expert in my lived experience. And I have stuff to convey, meaningful advice perhaps, but it's not even necessarily about advice. It's also just about engaging conversations and thinking about ways that, who out there in the world has maybe experienced similar things to you or is adjacent in some way, or for that matter, is just really totally different and would still be your readership and would engage what you have to say out of curiosity. And so that's really the stuff that author platform is built on. And author platform is content, of course it's social media posts, but it's not uniquely social media posts. I've talked about the fact that I'm doing Substack now. I love Substack for the long form. I find it really gratifying to break out of the little tiny box of Twitter or Facebook for that matter and just write articles about things that I care about and that I want people to know about, whether it's educational or personal. There's video. Some of you might feel really comfortable doing video and others of you not, but obviously on Instagram and TikTok, people are doing reels and short videos. You can do longer videos. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen that I'm making videos out of these little chats, and some of them, not all of them, I'm posting to YouTube just as an experiment to see what would that do? What will that promote and maybe what will that bring me? Then there's audio, there's podcasts. You might decide that you want to start a podcast. I have a She Writes author who wrote a book about having bipolar disorder and being a mom. And she's done a lot of audio. She actually hasn't started her own podcast. I think she should, but she has done a lot of audio interviews because she's very specifically gone after that segment of the marketplace and pitched herself to be on mental health web podcasts and other kinds of interviews. So there's so many things that I haven't even mentioned here that would fall under the umbrella of author platform, but someone asked about the balance. How do you deal with the fact that there are all these possibilities and things that you might do, but we're writing and we're barely finding time to write. I mean, we're here to show up and write because we're trying to prioritize this. And so I think the answer is that there's no one right answer for everyone. Writing your book does need to be a priority because without the book, there is no author platform. That said, if you have very high expectations for where you want your book to land, beginning to think about your author platform and taking it seriously is a big deal. And author platform also consists of things like just having a website, putting yourself on various social media platforms. It doesn't mean casting the net so wide that you're doing everything. I would say to do a couple of things well and to do a couple of things consistently. So the things that I'm doing right now well and consistently with regard to my author platform are my podcast and my Substack. They're weekly, they're consistent, And now, ever since I committed to my Substack, that's a new thing and it's weekly, but I'm really energized by it. And that's why I know that it's working. If you are feeling a suck or a drain from the thing that you endeavor, if it makes you feel like, oh my God, this is horrible, I can't believe I have to dedicate time to this, that is not the right place to invest your energies in your author platform. For me, social media can be that. I get very drained with social media and I notice it in my body. And so I have someone who helps me with my social media. That's my gift to myself, is to say, I actually don't like this that much. And so how can I have someone support me? You might not be there yet, but at some point in the future. So there's a balance of doing it yourself. There's a balance of getting people to support you. I mean, even on my podcast, I'm the interviewer, but I don't do the production and the uploading. I have a producer. And so of course, there's finances in all of this. You know, there's things to consider for each of you. There's stuff that can be free. There's stuff you can hire people to help you with. But if you have the expectation that you're going to write your book, finish your book, have zero platform, nothing, no presence, no consistency, and then you're going to sell your book to a publisher, that is a naive approach. So I do encourage you just to check your expectations. If you're fine with the idea of hybrid or self-publishing as your first book or your second book, then that's great. But if you really have different expectations, you need to be investing energies into your author platform as well. And that's just a reality check. I say it with all kindness, but I just have so many authors, you know, who are a little bit out there with regard to their expectations about the traditional industry. So, you know, this is a topic that I'm passionate about. I've written about it a lot. If any of you have, you know, more specific questions particular to your stuff, you know, your work, or if you're thinking to yourself, how the heck do I build an author platform out of my story? I'd be happy to talk about it. You can engage it on the Facebook post. You could email me. And if someone was serious about it, I would also do a consultation. So just putting that out there that I'm a resource. So is Dan Blank, who I love, and I think a lot of you know. He's just an awesome guy who really understands stuff about author platform, you know, and sort of building into this idea of becoming an expert in your topic, you know, and again, reframing the word expert for yourself, I think would do all of you very well, both for the sake of owning it and also, you know, in case there's stuff that is like agitating about your story, that it's really this gift that you have to bring back to the world about what you know and understand about what you've lived through and survived. Good luck with all of that. Enjoy. Have a beautiful writing session today.